Hi everyone, it's John at Hooker's Fishing Lake in Pattaya again. Today we're going to do the video that we promised you about drag washers and how to upgrade your drag washers or maintain them if you want to. We're going to cover very briefly the purpose of the drag on the reel, how it works, why you should be maintaining and looking after your drags, and why maybe you might want to consider upgrading the drags to Carbontex. And then we're also going to cover the tools that you're going to need, how you can go about sourcing Carbontex, and show you really that you can do it yourself. So here we go. That's what we're going to be focusing on today. It's just the spool. Everything you need to know is in the spool. Let's get into it. All the action is in here. So to get access to see what is actually inside, on most reels you're going to have a little spring clip just on the inside which can be removed, and then you will have your stack of drag washers. Now these ones are all clean, but essentially you start off with a drag washer at the bottom, then a metal washer, then another cloth washer, another washer, drag washer, and another key. Now the items that we're interested in are these three felt washers. Shimano, and particularly these 12,000 reels that we use, are, you know, they're not a cheap brand. They're at the high end for the segment that they're in. They're not the most expensive reels that Shimano produce, but they're certainly not the cheapest. And the washers that they put inside are made of this felt material. Okay. And the idea is that once those are all stacked on top of each other and you're tightening down with the key like this, you're restricting the amount of line that the fish can take off the reel. Now if you go to buy reels, or you may have heard people talking before about what the ratings, the drag ratings are for certain reels. These particular 12,000 OC Baitrunners that we use here at Hookers have a drag rating of 12 kilo, or around about 25 pound. So the drag just refers to the amount of pressure that would be needed, or pull that would be needed, to take line off the reel, and this can exert drag up to 25 pound. So it's designed to handle very, very big fish. But there is a lot more to the drags than just that, and in another video we'll cover how to set the drag correctly based on the line that you're using, the diameter, the breaking strain. There's a whole interesting topic and discussion you can have around that. So as you can see, these three felt washers that come as standard with the reels, it's very thin felt material. And what can happen is, over time, if you're catching a lot of big fish, is that that felt will start to deteriorate, it will start to wear, especially in high temperatures. It will wear even faster, and consequently your jag will become more jumpy, jittery, the line won't come off smoothly, and you stand more risk of losing that big fish. So one alternative to replacing those felt washers is something called Carbontex. Here's a sheet of Carbontex. You can see we've already cut washers out of this, but it's effectively a carbon sheet. You can buy it in various thicknesses, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.8 millimeters, depending on the size of the washer that you're looking to replace and the overall height of the stack. But it's always important to make sure that you're replacing the same number of washers like for like. The Carbontex is far more durable than the felt washers. It will wear much better. It's also capable of handling high temperatures that we have here in Thailand, especially when the sun's beating down on the reels all day and then you get a big fish on. There's a lot of heat generated within the reels and particularly within the drag system. So the Carbontex is much more able to deal with those temperatures and that abuse that you're going to get if you're fishing particularly in hot climates. So when you come to ordering your Carbontex, what you want to do, get yourself a set of calipers like this, or you can just measure with the measuring tape. You want to get an idea of the width of the washers that you're replacing, the outer diameter and also the inner diameter. It's also a good idea to just get an idea of the overall height of the stack that you're going to be replacing. Like this. So that you are ordering the right thickness of Carbontex. What you don't want is to be ordering it and it comes back too thick by the time you put your new washers in, and it won't fit inside the spool head with the clip. And what you don't want is for it to be too low that you really have to crank down in order to get any kind of bite on the drag at all. So here's some of the bits and pieces you're going to need in order to cut your own Carbontex. You need a little bit of reel grease. The digital calipers we've already mentioned. You want a block of wood, not hard wood, something a little bit on the soft side that can take a punch. Now, depending on the size of your washers that you're looking to cut, you need to buy these punches. You can buy them individually or you can buy them as a set, again on eBay. They're used, I think, probably for leather making, to punch holes for belts and other decorative things. But you can buy sets or you can just buy the one that you need. This is a 25mm punch, which is the same size as the washers that fit inside the 12,000 OC. Each reel will be slightly different. You might see inner diameters slightly bigger, you might see outer diameters slightly smaller. It depends on the reel and it depends on the manufacturer. So you'll need you know, two of those to match the size of the washer that you want to cut. Another alternative, you can, if you want to, always use, you could cut the Carbontex using scissors, but you're still going to face the issue of punching the center hole. You know, there are other tools you could do that with, but you know, if you do decide to cut with scissors, you need a very good pair of scissors, very sharp, and you need to make sure your edges are good. Now when you've cut, you need a little bit of 400 grit sandpaper, and that's really just to smooth the edges off. And finally, the other thing I just have on hand, it's always useful to have, is a sort of old set of jeweler's screwdrivers, which just has the small, forgotten the name now, you know what I mean, and little utensils for getting the drag washers out. Tweezers. So once you know the size of the washer that you're looking to replace, it's as easy as just placing your Carbontex sheet on your block of wood. Get your punch like this, and then with a good weighted hammer give it a good knock, and that will cut your perfect size washer. So you will have your outer diameter washer, and it will look something like this. is a slightly smaller one that fits the 8000 reels. So like I said, you know, you could cut that if you wanted to with a pair of scissors. Then you take your 400 grit sandpaper and you can just smooth those edges off, make it nice and perfectly round, and just get rid of any of the little carbon strands that might be left on there. You then go ahead, carry out the same process like that with one of the smaller punches. In this case it's a 5mm that is used to produce that. Center it up and punch your 5mm hole, and you'll end up with a washer looking like that. If you want to see what some really bad washers look like, wrong size, worn down, even plastic, just take a look at what we found in this customer's reels.
So here's an example reel from a customer who bought several reels into us for servicing. It's a slightly older Baitrunner, it's 12,000D. You can see it's got a slightly different handle, and you can see when we've taken the spool off, you can see just how dirty. You can see on the inside rim there the dirty grease, grime, grub that's got inside, and that'll all be affecting how smooth that drag is. There'll be scoring marks, and just we'll have to try and get those washers out and have a good look. And here you can see what we found inside. Now the first thing you'll notice is that there is a single Carbontex washer. It's the wrong size, as you can see it's different. Then we've got this rather attractive piece of plastic that someone has seen fit to put inside. It's all scored, it's where it's been tightened down, the metal has gone straight into the plastic. Really don't know what that's doing in there. And then for the third washer, some ingenuity. Two of the old felt washers have been put together, presumably to try and make up the height. And you can see again the compressed grease, dirt and grime that's in those two felt washers. And you know, your drag is going to suffer. It's not going to be performing as it should be, and for expensive reels like that, really it's a great shame. So we need to get all of those changed with Carbontex. Make sure that the diameters are correct. And here is a nice close-up of some of the metal washers, and you can see exactly what we were saying. You see the scoring marks on those washers. And here's the, on the left hand side, the newly cut Carbontex to replace the old one. You can see the old one slightly worn. You can see the weave very clearly on the left hand side, and also the correct in diameter for the washer.
So now we've got our 3 replacement washers. So what you want to do is you want to take one of your washers, get a little bit of reel grease, and you just put your reel grease, small amount around there on both sides. You just work it in on the surface so that there's a coating on both sides, and then you're ready to reinsert. Now what's important is to make sure you can remember, make sure you get the order correct from when they went in. In the case of the Shimano 12,000 OCs, it's a washer, Carbontex washer, then a metal washer, then a Carbontex washer, then the little locking key, and you'll see on there it has 2 pieces protruding on either side. They fit into the notch on either side here. And you have your third and final washer, and then your final metal washer sitting on the top. So your stack is back inside. Then you want to take your clip, this is very important obviously, and you just want to ease that back inside, and there is a little ridge around the inside that the spring fits into, which retains the clip and which then stops the drag washers from falling out. And it's as simple as that. So I hope you found that video useful, especially during lockdown times. It could give you something to do at home if you're looking, sort of clicking your heels and wondering what to do. It's fairly straightforward, fairly easy, as you see, if you want to do everything yourself. Another alternative, of course, is just to purchase the drag washers individually themselves. Again, they're available on AliExpress, Lazada, most of the big online shops. Just a word of caution, you want to check the pictures carefully and look at the quality of the cuts and the edges of what you're ordering. And also you want to make sure that you're getting the correct external diameters and inside diameters for the holes and the sizes that you need to replace. You're looking at around about 130 baht, something like that, so around £3, £3.50 for 3 washers. They come in at about £1 a piece at the moment at current exchange rates, about 42 baht. I've seen them on fairly decent ones. So you can always do that, but you'll still need to, obviously, to apply the grease and everything when you put them back into your spool. For those of you who would be interested, we're happy to do this small little service here at Hookers for you. So if you are coming here for fishing, or even if you're not coming here for fishing and you'd be interested in having your drag washers upgraded, please contact us through the website using the contact form, or through our line ID, WhatsApp, phone number, and just say that you're interested in the drag washers, in having your drags upgraded to Carbontex. Please let us know what brand of reel that you've got, and we'll come back to you with a quote. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and we'll see you again soon.